All right, today we're jumping into a really interesting idea from a text called the covenant alignment, and it presents a concept that might just flip your whole understanding of a common word, the word alien. It's not about where you're from, it's all about what you believe. Let's dive in. So let me ask you, when you hear the word alien, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably someone from a different country, right? Or, hey, maybe even another planet. Well, the source we're looking at today wants us to just set those ideas aside and think about something else entirely, something much closer to home. And this is where it gets really fascinating. According to this text, being an alien has absolutely nothing to do with your passport or your place of birth. It's all about your internal state of being, your mental and spiritual alignment. It's a pretty wild idea, so let's unpack exactly what that means. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this alien concept, we first have to understand what the source calls the original design. The core argument here is that life isn't just a random series of events, but something much more intentional, a divine appointment. This whole framework is really built on quotes like this one. The text is making the case that every single person is known and has a purpose before they even exist. It's a perspective that frames life as being filled with intention right from the very start. And that brings us to this key term, covenantal design. This is the central idea. It's the belief that your life isn't an accident, it's an appointment. And it comes with, well, a kind of instruction manual, inherited responsibilities, and, crucially, preset paths that we all have to navigate. So this design presents everyone with a fundamental choice, laid out here as two very distinct paths. You've got path 1, life and blessing, which is all about staying in alignment with that original design. And then you have path 2, death and curse, which is the path you're on when you deviate. The text presents this as a pretty clear binary choice. All right, so now that we've got that foundation of covenantal design in place, we can finally get back to the main event, how this framework redefines an alien. It's not about an outsider, it's about a stranger within. And boom, here it is. This is the whole thesis in a nutshell. The source is saying that the real foreigner, the actual alien, isn't someone from across the border. It's a mindset that's born inside our own heads. It's an internal condition, not an external one. So what does this alien mindset actually look like? Well, the text breaks it down for us. It's anything that stands outside of that covenantal design. It's any thought process that moves against what the source calls the word. It's when you put your own imagination on a throne above truth. It's basically that single thought that declares total independence. Okay, so what's the big deal? What actually happens when someone adopts this alien mindset? The source has a name for it, the Great Exchange. And it's framed as this huge moment of abandonment and, importantly, substitution. And see, this is the really critical part. According to the text, leaving that original design isn't a neutral act. It doesn't just create an empty space. Instead, it's like you're inviting a foreign authority to move in and take over. One influence is literally swapped out for another. This quote just puts it so bluntly. The exchange isn't for nothing. It's for something else entirely, a falsehood. That, right there, is the very core of this great exchange. Now, to make this idea of allegiance feel a little more real and less abstract, the source uses this powerful metaphor, a table. It argues that where you choose to eat, what you take in, reveals everything about where your true loyalty lies. And here are the two options on the menu. You've got the master's table, which is all about sourcing your life from divine provision, from truth. And then you have the demon's table, which represents feeding on what the text calls illusion and deception. It's a really stark picture of that choice of allegiance. So how does someone end up switching tables? It doesn't just happen overnight. The source lays out this 3-step slide. First, trust moves away from the creator and onto external systems. Think wealth, power, that kind of thing. Then, that covenant relationship is replaced by a dependency on those new systems. And finally, well, the heart always follows the treasure. The allegiance has officially been transferred. Okay, so if this is all happening on the inside, how in the world are you supposed to know where you stand? The source points to scripture, but not as a history book. It says to see it as a mirror, a tool for direct confrontation with yourself. This quote is absolutely central to that idea. The text presents the word not as some old, dusty book, but as something living, something active. Its whole purpose is to cut through the surface and get to the real stuff, discerning the true thoughts and intentions of your heart, revealing where you're really aligned. And this totally reframes the whole idea of judgment, doesn't it? It's not being presented as some kind of punishment handed down from above. Instead, it's just a moment of revelation. It's the simple unveiling of the alignment, whether true or alien, that was there the whole time. So after explaining the problem, this alien mindset, the text naturally moves on to the solution. It offers a path back, a way to get realigned, and it calls this the call to return. And the crucial point here is that the goal isn't just about, going through some religious motions or rituals. The entire emphasis is on restoration, a complete return from that state of internal alienation back to a state of alignment with that original design. And it all comes back to this simple, direct command that we saw at the very beginning. This is the call to action. It links directly back to those two fundamental paths. The solution is to consciously, actively choose the path of life and blessing. But it's one thing to have a path, and it's another thing to know how to walk it. The source says this word, this blueprint for alignment, didn't just stay as an idea on a page. It was made tangible. It became a living, breathing example for everyone to follow. And here it is, the climax of the entire argument. The text identifies Yahshua the Messiah, Jesus, as the physical embodiment of that word. In this view, he is the covenant made visible. He's the original pattern, revealed in human form, giving everyone the ultimate template for what true alignment looks like. So we end with the one question this entire source has been building towards. It pushes past all the external labels of nationality or origin and asks you, personally, to look inward. Is your thinking, your deepest allegiances, your mental framework, is it aligned with your original intended design? It's a powerful question to sit with.